A YouTube show.
Fun Size with Little Cricket? You haven't seen it? Oh, well, I'm kind of like PewDiePie without the Nazi stuff.
Uh-huh. Okay then, that just happened. In 2023, we are apparently calling back to the PewDiePie is a Nazi meme from, God help me, 2017. This drama's half a decade old. Goodness gracious. Alrighty then, I guess the showrunners of The Boyz felt that they weren't really being able to push their progressive messaging effectively in The Boyz, and that's because they couldn't, for the same reason that Barbie couldn't. The Boyz, the Generation 5 being a spin-off of The Boyz, incidentally, which we'll get back to exactly what that is in case you're unaware in a moment, but it is a very progressive show. However, through simple doctrinal ignorance, much like Barbie, it has actually been able to present as many anti-woke points as it's trying to make pro-woke points, but we'll return to that in a second. Generation 5, the spin-off, now straight up calls PewDiePie a Nazi, again referencing back to a 2017 piece of drama that, well, lit the internet on fire there for a second, causing one of the big adpocalypses and seeing PewDiePie get dropped from God alone knows how many millions of dollars worth of contracts. And the point was that he was being funny. Kjellberg, and this is how you know they're really trying to cancel him, by the way, they're not calling him PewDiePie anymore, they're using his legal name, says his most blatant anti-Semitic video was an instance of absurd humor, but it's part of a disconcerting trend. For you see, he's becoming an alt-right pipeline. Yes, this was that era of YouTube. And how is he becoming an alt-right pipeline? Well, because he's using humor, which the progressives deem to be an alt-right activity. Yes. This drama is a little bit too large to get into quickly in a video like this, but in essence, PewDiePie made jokes on the internet, thinking that he was still the internet of old. PewDiePie was swiftly proven incorrect in this assumption, and he also managed to drop the N-word, which caused even more outrage, and he became everyone's favorite chewing toy for about a month or two. He also showed up in a military uniform, and seeing as no progressive has ever actually seen a military uniform or a documentary for that matter, they looked at this and thought to themselves, well, it looks military, so it must be German. Because the Germans are the only ones who ever used militaries, I presume. Now, as somebody who has a mild interest in this particular period, this is not a German uniform. Just to, point that out real quick there. And, okay, here's the thing. PewDiePie does not require me, of all people, to defend him. He is still one of the largest YouTubers in the world. Was the largest YouTuber on the platform for years and years and years. He has more money in his sock drawer than I will ever earn in my entire life. Not to mention, he's de facto retired with a child. He's already successful. You can't cancel him now. You're again a decade or so too late, frankly, but what is interesting here is that this demonstrates one of the progressives' primary strengths, the ability to simply, doggedly continue to repeat a lie for years and years and years and years until simply not caring about the drama becomes the strength of the lie. Who the hell is going to hear this and be like, what? PewDiePie's a Nazi. What are you on about? And they're going to Google like PewDiePie's a Nazi, and they're going to come across rather chunky-ass articles like this. And if they're not literate in the internet, they might go like, oh my god, he made jokes about Jews. He made the death to all, let's be careful about that on modern-day internet, joke. And incidentally, yes, it was a joke, very obviously so as well, even at the time. Even at the time, the progressives found it a bit hard to attack him for it, but, well, we've gone quite some time from then, of course. And if you manage to repeat this lie often enough, vociferously enough, with a straight enough face, until everyone's forgotten what the lie was, it transforms into the truth. It's like magic, really. This is something that the Boyz have been trying to do for quite some time, but by and large actually failing as much as it's succeeding. So, in case you're unaware, The Boyz is a TV show about a universe in which superheroes are real, although with some complications I shall endeavour not to ruin too much because it actually is a rather good television show. It is based off a comic which is infinitely worse, in a rare example of the TV show being better than the comic. And in this world, the superheroes are dickholes, because the majority of them are simple corporate product. One of the largest players in this field is Vought International. Vought International has a superhero group called The Seven, with its star being Homelander, a weaker Superman in essence. The company, Vought, is an incredibly progressive company, and the show writers try to make as many progressive messages throughout the show as possible via this, by like, oh, corporations bad, corporations evil, see, it's all a front, they're all Nazis at the end of the day, etc., etc. But due to not understanding their own doctrines and the thought structure of their opponents, they make as many anti-progressive points as they do progressive ones. One standout example is the Seven, again, the superhero group led by Homelander. One of them is killed, rather violently, and they're looking for a replacement. And they pick out a guy, Vought does. They pick out a blind guy. And to them, this is a PR opportunity. This is a virtue signal chance. He's super abled. Yes, indeed. Because he's basically a daredevil kind of guy, right? Jumping about, kicking, flipping, all that shit, with super hearing, even though he's blind. Okay. For Vought, this is a diversity hire. This is a way to make the activists shut up. It's a way to be like, hey, progressives, we're on your side. Because Vought, again, is an incredibly progressive company at every single solitary level. Meanwhile, Homelander, playing along with it, goes like, hey, you're fantastic, you're super able, that's great. So you want to be in the Seven, right? My superhero team. Well, that's fantastic. Okay, one other question. So, you're blind, right? You only have, like, super hearing, right? Okay, what happens if I were to just, smack you on the side of the head? And so he does. The super able daredevil then falls to the ground, screaming in pain, utterly and completely disabled by being clapped on the side of the head. Not even with super strength, mind you, because if Homelander clapped you on the side of the head with super strength, his head would be jam and jello, about 5 feet over in that direction. And Homelander then simply turns away and goes, as long as I'm here, there will be no cripples on the Seven. Making a brilliant point, because in his view, the Seven aren't just a product. He considers himself a superhero. He considers this to be a group of superheroes fighting against evil, even in his own twisted way. And Homelander is no good guy either. But he's like, well, this is obviously a massive downgrade of our fighting power. The previous guy had invulnerable skin and could turn invisible. This guy can be disabled by loud music. And so the progressives go like, oh my god, that evil fascist, he's hurting the crippled guy. And meanwhile, the conservatives are going, he's got a damn good point. And this happens throughout the show, purely by accident, as even the showrunners themselves have stated that they are trying to push the progressivism, trying to make Homelander a negative stereotype about Trump. Which I feel like they failed rather massively, because Homelander is goddamn amazing, even despite their best efforts to make him shitter and shitter throughout the series. Homelander begins as an amazing villain, because he's Superman, but with no scruples, and his performance, the guy who's acting as him, does a brilliant job, because he feels like a loose cannon. You have no idea what he's going to do. One moment he's going to be smiling and affable, clapping you on the shoulder, good job, buddy. The next, he's going to blow your head off with a stare. Every scene he's in, you have no idea if everybody else in the room is about to be turned into fucking blood vapors. It is brilliant. And then, of course, they go like, but he's too powerful, though. He's going to inspire a lot of the alt-right who's embracing him. Oh, God. We're going to have to make him a little bit weird. We're going to have him masturbate on a rooftop. Why would he need to? He's Homelander. Good God. If Homelander really wanted to get off, and he wanted to do so in a negative way, he could probably just straight up rape someone. unironically, nobody would even catch him. And even if they did, Vought can lock down the entire media to the point where they can cover up him sending an entire passenger plane into the ocean. That's the issue. They try to make a character whose entire scaredness is based on his power level into a pussy. It's remarkably retarded, but that's what they're going for. Apparently, Generation 5 is trying to double down on the progressivism to the point of, again, attempting to score easy virtue signal points by going after PewDiePie's drama. Again, from 2017, presuming nobody's going to call it out. And hey, maybe nobody will. I expect it's not going to, frankly, because, I expect it's not going to go unnoticed, frankly, because, again, it's still pretty goddamn large. It's still PewDiePie we're talking about here. And as much as it disgusts me to defend a Swede, of course, as an honourable and vastly superior Norwegian, I nevertheless do feel the urge, particularly when the Spinoff series does it. A Spinoff series about superpowered teenagers, and just to give you a brief glimpse of the tastefulness here of the Spinoff series, the main character can control blood, okay? That is an extraordinarily tired trope of the edgy superhero, but very well. How does she discover these superpowers? By menstruating. And she's sitting on the toilet, bleeding from her vagina, and she's like, wow, look at this! I can control my menstruation blood! Thank you for that TV show. It wasn't necessary, but you did it anyways. Shock value. No matter how retarded aforementioned shock value might be, I suppose. Well, I guess we talked about necromancy a while ago in terms of old video games, so I suppose it only makes sense to return to the topic of necromancy with drama slightly thereafter. God help me. Right, well, there you go. PewDiePie's a Nazi. Says 2017. Until next time, I've been Arch. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you all again soon. Have a good day.